Your Sports 1140 KHTK update. Brought to you by J.R. Putman Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
This is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. Buddy Hield's 15-foot fadeaway for the win at the buzzer fell short, and the Kings opened the second half with a 125-123 loss to the Warriors. Marvin Bagley had a great game, though, with 28 points and 14 rebounds. Sacramento is off today. They travel to Oklahoma City tomorrow to take on Raymond Felton and the Thunder. Elsewhere in the NBA, the Cavs were all over the Suns, 111-98. It was the 76ers over the Heat, 106-102. Portland was in Brooklyn and knocked off the Nets 113-99. The Bucks and Celtics went back and forth, but Milwaukee prevailed at home 98-97, and the Lakers got a big game from LeBron James in a 111-106 victory over the Rockets. The Lakers are now one game back of the Kings in the race for the 8th seed. The Clippers were idle last night, which means the Kings are now a game and a half behind them for the final playoff spot. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive. It's Damien filling in for Dave on Sports 1140 KHTK.
We're all fans of the Memphis Grizzlies tonight as they're taking on the Los Angeles Clippers for those scoreboard watching. Also, the Oklahoma City Thunder will take on the Utah Jazz. That is of note because the Oklahoma City Thunder are the Sacramento Kings' next opponent tomorrow night in Oklahoma City. As you heard Kyle mention there, the Kings lose 125-123. They have lost 4 games to the Golden State Warriors by a combined 12 points. We'll spend some time talking about that here in this final hour. Again, we are so happy you're here with us. I'm Damien Barling. Carmichael Dave will be back at 6 a.m. on Monday. And Jason and I, Jason, who is obviously not here today, we will be back along with Cody Baylor, who's going to join us here in just a little bit, in the champ Chris Verlade at noon on Monday as well. And of note, if you're into the live stream over on KHTK.com, and I'm secure enough to admit the live stream is a lot less interesting when Jason's not here. You're basically watching a video of me and Kyle talking without the antics of Jason Ross.
You are quite the salesman.
Dude, I'm also very honest. Though if you want to sell, tune into the KHTK.com in about 15 to 20 minutes. You'll be significantly happier as the group of individuals on the live stream is going to get a lot better looking.
Hey, can I tell you a funny story?
No.
About you being honest?
You may not.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So I was hanging out with some friends who all listen to the station, and one of them goes, "Hey, I need to ask you, Damien, hating on you is a joke, right?" I was like, no, it's not. That's just how he is all the time. It's not a bit.
No, he legitimately hates my guts.
Yeah.
He cannot stand me. That's so funny. You uttered one
just
of the
out of the blue. It's really good.
Okay, so for one time only, well, in wrestling they call this kayfabe, where you let people in on the secrets of the business. Yes, my disgust for Kyle is a running gag. That's all it is. I very much love Kyle. He is a treasure to this company and a treasure to my heart. But yes, it is a running bit, and it's probably my favorite bit in all of the world.
It's a really good one.
It is my favorite one in all of the world because it's so easy to be disgusted by you. I feel that I barely have to act in most of those situations. You just have the ability to really get on my nerves.
I just want to let you know that in the middle of being like, yeah, Kyle's great, you went, it's so easy to be disgusted.
It really is. It's the easy. It's a bit for sure, but it's not one that I have to work hard on. There are a few things that we do in radio that are all for fun, like my disgust for the champ.
Right.
It's a gag. That's the bit. You're being let in on the secrets of the business. When I reply with angry faces all over social media, it's part of the bit. I love Chris's alter ego because Chris Verlade on the air in front of people is a very chill, quiet, and reserved individual.
Yes.
You really once you get to know him, you'll love him and he'll love you back. But the champ? Oh, the champ is something entirely different. Champ
he
actually
owns the character.
He actually talks different than Chris does.
Yes, it is a full-on
his inflection changes.
It's amazing. It's a full character, and he dives all the way in.
Oh, all the way, 100%. Ridiculous quotes from this idiot. Thank you. Who was I? Was I talking about you in that
Kevin
clip?
Colbert.
Oh, Kevin. I thought I was talking about you. Let's go to the phone lines for the first time today. There's a couple of things on the Kings game that I do want to get to that we haven't spent enough time on. That includes the I don't know. I don't want to say confrontation, but the exchange between Buddy Hield and Dave Yeager at the end of that game. But let's go to Pablo. Pablo, you've been waiting patiently, man. Greatly appreciate it. What's going on?
Hey, the exchange is right, man. Hey, the exchange with you guys is pretty lit, too. It's funny, when Kyle said that his fans were saying, is he hating on you? I thought you said is he hitting on you? I said, on the air? Are you kidding me? No, but anyway.
More
are you still there?
Results from this idiot. Stop it, man. Will you leave that?
I know. That's funny.
See, that's what I mean. It's easy to be annoyed by you. Did you see that right there? I'm sorry, Pablo. Go ahead, buddy.
But check it out. Okay, so we're watching the game, and Grant is noticing this stuff. The cameras go on these guys. And my son, I'm watching with him because we're in the Bay Area. We're in Golden State territory now, but I raised him in Sacramento. So we're watching the game, and we're all hyped. And then this exchange comes after he hit the shot. And my son reads lips like it's uncanny. It's like a gift. And he was like reading lips, and he was like saying, the coach is saying, "You're taking an effing 40-foot shot with this month on the clock." And then Buddy goes, and he says, Buddy's a little harder because he got the overbite. Buddy says, "Man, I made the shot." And then Durant is saying, "Oh, man," he's laughing. He says, "That's BS, man. You take that shot every time. You take it every time." He's kind of instigated. And Buddy's like, settle down. It's all right." And so he makes the other shot, and he's like, "What? What now?" And then Durant is like pumping him up kind of too, you know. And then, of course, the last shot, he was thinking, "Man, I'm ready to let this fly," but the coach says he wants a better shot. So he goes and tries to work up a little closer, and of course it didn't work out. You know, you're in the heat of the moment. You can't be second-guessing yourself. And it's just like, man, it was like that could have been a beautiful ending, but Coach Yeager just, I think he didn't realize the moment of whatever, and I hope it's not going to mess him up for this playoff run. What do you guys think about that?
First of all, Pablo, you are my hero today. I appreciate you. You're the MVP of the show. Thank you so much.
Man.
We appreciate you, my man. Hey, have a great weekend, all right?
Yeah, but it was still a great game.
No, most definitely. No, it definitely was, and we're going to address everything you said right there because that's gotten a lot of people's attention, was the exchange between Dave Yeager and Buddy Hield towards the end of the game right there. We saw Buddy Hield not take the three-pointer that everybody in the city of Sacramento wanted him to take, and nobody at Oracle wanted him to take. And then we saw Dave Yeager walking over to shake hands. I don't know if it was Steve Kerr or some of the other assistants, but he's shaking his head almost as if, "Buddy, you should have shot that." I think most people, Pablo, read the lips of Dave Yeager and Buddy Hield the same way that you did, and a lot of questions have come in here on the text line about what was up with that exchange. That is something that I'm sure Dave Yeager and Buddy Hield will address. I'm sure it's just two guys in a heated conversation, in a heated moment, in a game that both of them desperately wanted to win. If you want to read something into it, I wouldn't read anything up to it. I'm sure Dave Yeager, if he was questioning, and this is all, guesses on our part, if he was questioning Buddy Hield about his shot selection there when he finally knocked down a three there in the final seconds and then knocked down a second one, I'm guessing he won't again.
Shoot or shoot.
Simple as that.
And at the end of the game, he didn't.
Nope.
And I get that there were 6 seconds left.
No one would have been mad. He was 30 feet away, at least.
And he had just made one.
No one would have been mad. No Kings fan would have looked at that and go, "Damn it, why did Buddy shoot that?" Everybody would have been who was it, Clay on him?
Yeah. And
he had time and space. He could have gotten the shot up clean.
Yes. And twice, because he kind of caught it and hesitated and then had more room as Clay closed.
The play was for Buddy.
Yes.
That is so clear because there's our buddy Aaron Brewski, or at least my buddy Aaron Brewski, posted an isolated video of Marvin Bagley on that play. And I don't know if you had a chance to see that isolated video because we're so focused on Buddy.
I've watched Bagley on the play. I didn't see the isolated video,
The problem with being so isolated on Buddy was Harrison Barnes was also isolated on Buddy because Marvin Bagley was sitting underneath the basket without a soul near him because they were all focused on Buddy Hield at the top of the key. 4 Golden State Warrior defenders were all watching and drifting towards the top of the key where Buddy Hield was, and Marvin Bagley, right before the pass was inbounded, cut to the basket and was standing completely alone under the basket. But Harrison Barnes was looking for the play that they called, which was to get the ball to Buddy Hield at the top of the key, where you could take a game-winning three and beat the champs for the first time this year, and he didn't. And I don't think a person on the planet Earth thought when he didn't take that first shot that whatever was going to happen next was going to go in, because I certainly didn't.
When he caught it with that much space, it was like, that's ball game.
Oh, yeah.
And then he didn't shoot it twice.
Yeah. That's the part that we're actually ignoring, is he had a second opportunity to take the three.
He caught
and he
it
still didn't.
and hesitated, started to put the ball on the deck, and then one more time started to pull up again, and then decided to dribble. And look, I love Buddy Hield. I think he's been an incredible offensive player this year, but dribbling into the key and shooting a turnaround jumper is not his game. You're shooting 45% on 8 threes a game, dude. Fire away. That's all.
Couple of texts here on the Jiffy Lube text line at 441140. How can anybody blame that loss on Coach? The play obviously broke down, but when he drove, he should have kicked that to Bogey. That was all on Buddy last night. One, I don't think anybody is blaming that loss on Dave Yeager at all. I don't think anybody. Sometimes I think Kings fans manifest stuff in their head. Like, who's blaming Dave Yeager for that?
I posted, and I know Twitter is such a small microcosm of the larger Kings fan base, but I posted a screenshot of Buddy right when he caught it, and I was like, you need to shoot this.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And a bunch of people were like, oh, it's because of Yeager getting in his head, that's why he didn't shoot. So I think that's where that's coming from.
I see.
But the kick out to Bogey, because a couple people I saw mention that as well, Bogey drifts out to the right wing as Buddy is driving left with the defender on his right hip.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not, he would have had to stop and turn the other way to get, that would have been such a difficult pass, A, to see, and B, to execute.
Mm-hmm.
That was not an easy play. So could he have gotten that ball out there? Maybe, but it wasn't like an obvious, wow, how did he miss that type of play?
Sure. Another thing to point out in that particular text, talking about the play breaking down, the play did not break down. The play ran the way they wanted it to. You can see that by the way Harrison Barnes inbounded the ball. They were looking for Buddy Hield at the top of the key, and they got him. I just don't think what the Kings expected was him not to shoot the ball. And Buddy's not happy about it either. Buddy's line last night, I should have pulled that bitch. It was the line that he said last night regarding the three-pointer. I should have shot it. He didn't. Okay. They lose to the Warriors. Move along. You got the Oklahoma City Thunder coming up on Saturday, and whatever was plaguing Buddy Hield through the first 47 minutes of yesterday's game, let's hope that is not plaguing him. I think, another thing that probably hasn't gone talked about enough is the fact that Buddy was in rough shape last night in terms of the three-pointer. And really not an ideal night scoring for him against the Golden State Warriors. But the Kings were still in it in the final moments. And that's what Grant and Doug were screaming about all day. Stay in it. Going back to their radio show, and they carried the conversation onto the TV. Be around in the final 5 minutes. You've been around all 4 games in the final 5 minutes. Be around in the final 5 minutes. And if you just keep yourself in the hunt. And they were able to do that. I still can't believe they lost by 2. Because I started tuning the game out with, was it 25 seconds left? And they were down 125, 117 or something like that. I had checked out. Okay, let me start gathering stuff. Let me get everything ready to wake up in the morning. Let me get the dogs out to go to the bathroom, and I'll shut it down for the night. Let's watch this play develop. Oh, okay, buddy. All right, well, they're still going to have to miss free throws, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Buddy again, couple of Andre Iguodala missed free throws. Okay, we've got something going on here. And then when Buddy caught the ball at the top of the key, I thought the Kings had just beaten the Warriors. It's like, this is perfect. This is going to make for the perfect Friday show. Then he didn't shoot it, and I'm looking at that I don't know what's about to happen, but I know it ain't going to be good. And a turnaround floater lob three or free throw line extended shot. Nah, I'm good on that.
I tell you,
15-foot floater, that's a pass for me.
I tell you, just in a vacuum, I'm not giving you a game situation. Buddy Hield is going to shoot. He can take an uncontested 30-footer or take a contested turnaround fadeaway 15-footer. Which one do you want him shooting?
30-footer for Buddy, 30-footer.
Same. It's not the case for every player.
No.
But for Buddy Hield specifically, I want that every time.
Again, coming off of the 2 shots that he had just made, he hadn't hit a 3 all night.
The ascension to the mean was coming.
It was there. Like if there had been 30 seconds left in the first quarter, you would call that a heat check. Dude, shoot it while you're hot. And Buddy knows he made a mistake. I don't know whether Dave Yeager getting in his ear made a mistake. I really have no idea.
Another thing to note there is we mentioned Marvin Bagley standing all alone under the basket. Marvin Bagley had 14 rebounds. The Warriors had no answer for him. There's 6 seconds left. You fire that up. You get a board and maybe a foul or a putback. I mean, so many good things can happen on an uncontested jumper there.
Mm-hmm. And remember, and we can't overstate this enough, 4 members of the Golden State Warriors were all drifting, to play more into what Kyle said. They were all focusing on Buddy Hield, the top of the Warriors were playing. You hear this line all the time. You go for the win instead of the tie when you're on the road. I would argue with the Golden State Warriors, if you have the final possession and you have the ability to win the game, home or away, you do it. I think that was the play design. Buddy Hield acknowledged he should have taken the shot. He didn't. Whether Dave Yeager acknowledged maybe he shouldn't have gotten in Buddy's ear 2 plays prior, I don't know. That remains to be seen. But the play call was there. The Warriors were playing for the Kings to win the game on the final possession. They were not playing for a tie. And I'm talking about the Warriors. They defensively were not playing like they thought the Kings were going to attempt to tie the game. And you can watch it again on the replay. They all run towards Buddy because they believe he is going to attempt to shoot a 3. Maybe not that 30-footer, because I think if they thought he was going to shoot the 30-footer, they would have drifted towards the basket. They chose to go towards him to contest anything he attempted to do. Then, when he started to drive to the basket, you saw they all fell back. Every single Warriors defender falls back to the basket, because now I think they're thinking like Kyle was just talking about, and like, okay, he's going for 2. Let's not give up an offensive rebound here. And they didn't even have the opportunity to do that, as Buddy just kind of threw up an air ball. And again, it was just a mistake on top of a mistake, which Buddy has already acknowledged. He acknowledged it last night. He made a mistake. He should have taken the 3. He didn't, and that's that. It sucks. I know Kings fans wanted that one. It would have been great, especially after the Lakers had come back to beat the Houston Rockets, which was a game I honestly had the Lakers chalked up as losing, and I felt pretty good about that. Following along on my iPad, they were down 19. But LeBron and the Lakers were playoff activated there, and they won a game. To their credit, they won a game that they absolutely had to win. The Oklahoma City Thunder, their All-Star break ends tonight when they take on the Utah Jazz on ESPN, and they will play the Sacramento Kings in Oklahoma City on the second night of a back-to-back. That, much like the Lakers last night against the Rockets, is a game that the Sacramento Kings need to find a way to win.
I wrote about this a little bit yesterday at KHTK.com, but something worth touching on here, especially with this road trip the Kings have coming up, and just really this stretch of games. They're now 8-21 against teams above 500 this year. Like, they have to turn that around stat if they're going to make the playoffs. And I think getting an Oklahoma City team that plays as hard as they do on the back end of a back-to-back, especially coming off a game against the Jazz, that becomes I don't want to say must win, but that's a game you have to get.
Jiffy Lube text line here at 44-1140. We get a winner for Luke Bryan tickets?
Yeah, we sure did. Lori, congratulations. Thanks for listening. We greatly appreciate that. Luke Bryan, Lake Tahoe Outdoor Arena at Harvey's on August 25th. You want some more information on that show, go to KHTK.com. And again, thank you so much for listening. A couple of texts here from the Jiffy Lube text line at 44-1140. The ball should have been in Fox's hands on that last possession. He would have found an open man for a good shot. Is that on Coach? That's from Craig. No, Harrison Barnes inbounded the ball to a man with an open shot. It didn't need to be in De'Aaron Fox's hands. It needed to be in Buddy Hield's hands where it was, and Harrison Barnes
got him the ball. The shot was open. Craig, he just didn't take it. There's nothing to read into here. Buddy took all suspense out of it last night. He caught the ball in a position to shoot it. He didn't shoot it. He acknowledged he shouldn't have taken it, or he should have taken it. That's it. It's over. We're reading too much into this. Buddy had a shot to win the game that he didn't take. He ultimately took a significantly worse shot from half the distance. Wait a minute. That loss is on Damien. He keeps jinxing Buddy at the end of the game. Both this game and the Nuggets game, he keeps putting it in a bag before the play happens.
Hey, great defense.
That's actually very true because I thought Buddy was going to beat the Denver Nuggets as well. So I believe Buddy Hield is the greatest clutch player to ever exist in the history of the National Basketball Association. And why we haven't changed his nickname to Mr. Clutch and why we haven't put the Buddy Hield logo on the ball and for the NBA is beyond me.
Because Rich Paul is Mr. Clutch.
That's solid. How could a guy who was like 1 of 8 in the finals be called Mr. Clutch?
I don't know.
You don't have to answer. I just want you to think about it. I've always wondered that. Jerry West's nickname is Mr. Clutch, but he's 1 of 8 in the finals.
But that one was super clutch.
He can't beat the Boston Celtics. Like, there's literally a team out there he couldn't beat, but we called him Mr. Clutch. Not we, because that's a little bit before my time. But he's called Mr. Clutch.
Maybe it's because of his front office acumen.
No, I think it was around before then. He is Mr. Clutch in the front office. There's no question about that. He is a one-man super team in terms of front office work. But I've always been fascinated with that nickname. And who was the logo before Jerry West? Did the NBA have a logo? What was the original NBA logo? Was it like Dr. Naismith?
It was just a peach basket. Jackie Moon.
It really bothers me when Jay Marshall does that because it validates the things that you're doing in there.
I know, which
I
really
appreciate. I know. I know Jay is getting comfortable in his executive producer role for the. I think we're going to have a little conversation with him about things that are allowed when Kyle's around and things that aren't.
My entire existence is based around seeking validation from other people, so the applause is really great for me.
You are the typical millennial.
100%. Have never denied it.
Social media is about self like valuation, right?
Yeah.
That's all what social media is.
Yes.
Especially Instagram. Instagram is the worst because you're posting pictures of yourself to get likes. Kyrie said yesterday,
me, please.
Like this picture, like my little thirst trap that I posted right here seeking compliments on. Kyrie was mad yesterday saying, y'all took my conversation with Kevin. Y'all didn't even hear my conversation with Kevin Durant. You just saw me talking to Kevin Durant on video. And y'all, I mean, the internet, it's not even real life.
It's my life, right? It's two people talking, having a conversation. If this was a real world, would it be anybody else's business? But it's a video of somebody assuming what we're talking about, right? I hear you. Making an opinion about it. So why would I care about it? Why does that have an impact on my life? Why are you asking me those type of questions? About cooling it off? For what? I don't get it.
Kyrie does not know how the internet works, man. More ridiculous quotes from this idiot. Hey, don't call Kyrie an idiot. Hey, that's accurate. He's not telling a lie. But I just don't think Kyrie understands what the internet is. I don't think he understands what social media is.
And what it means to be an NBA player.
Don't use words with K and D in it for the remainder of the year. Don't even mention New York. Don't mention New. Don't mention York at all for the remainder of the season because it's going to be read into. Don't wear blue. Don't wear orange. Don't wear blue and orange. Don't mention the word Mecca. Don't mention Madison, Square, or Garden for the rest of the year. And you'll be fine. That's all you got to do.
Kyrie, I like those shoes. Thanks there. Just got them.
Just got them. We'll step out. We'll come back. Cody Baylor's going to join us. We've got our Friday mailbag. You sent letters to Jason Ross here at 280 Commerce Circle. He's not here. We're going to open them all. We're going to do that next. Thanks, Cody.
Now, your Sports 1140 KHTK update. Brought to you by J.R. Putman Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
This is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. Buddy Hield's 15-foot fadeaway for the win at the buzzer fell short, and the Kings opened the second half of their season with a 125-123 loss to the Warriors. Marvin Bagley had a very good game, though, with 28 points and 14 rebounds. Sacramento's off today. They're in Oklahoma City tomorrow to take on Dennis Schroeder and the Thunder. Elsewhere in the association, the Cavs were all over the Suns at 111-98. Excuse me, this is my update, not the Damien update. The 76ers snuck past the Heat 106-102. Portland knocked off the Nets in Brooklyn 113-99. The Bucks topped the Celtics 98-97 in a wild game in Milwaukee. And the Lakers rode a big game from playoff-activated LeBron James to a 111-106 victory against the Rockets. James Harden did get 30 points. His streak is now at 32, much more impressive than any other streaks going on in the NBA right now. LA is now a game back of the Kings in the race for the 8th seed. The Clippers were idle, which means the Kings are now a game and a half behind them for the final playoff spot. Those are your top stories. Now it's time for The Drive. It's Cody filling in for Dave on Sports 1140 KHTK.
The hate's not a gimmick anymore. Like, the hate is very real. Tell your friends it's not a bit. Like, I already did. I legitimately hate you. Like real life. What's wrong with you?
What's fun is those are just impromptu things. I didn't have those written down.
The Sacramento Kings will take on Russell Westbrook and his 11 straight triple-doubles last night. His third straight season averaging a triple-double.
Very impressive. It's extremely impressive. Undeniably.
It is the greatest streak in the history of professional sports. Okay, maybe I went a little too far on that one. What's the 57, right? That's the hitting streak? That streak's never, is it 50? It's 56.
Yeah.
That's never being broken. There's a few that I think are never being broken. That's one of them.
What's crazy about DiMaggio's hitting streak is when a guy gets to like 20, it's like, man, look at Joey Votto's on a 20-game hitting. Right. He still has 36 games to go to tie it.
Right. Maybe it was Pete Rose got to like 40 or 40-something.
I'm not sure.
Like, you realize you're still 12 games away from doing, like, a 12-game hitting streak is impressive.
Right.
You need 12 more games to do it.
Yeah, what's crazy about DiMaggio's is the one that ended his streak, the game that ended his streak, he had like 2 balls that he hit to third that needed crazy defensive plays to rob him of hits. And then he followed up the 56 games with like a 30 or 38 game hitting streak. It's just outrageous.
We promised that the live stream would get significantly more entertaining, as it has. Cody Baylor has joined us here. If you want to watch the last 30 minutes of the show, you can. KHTK.com. And remember, you can see Cody, myself, and the king of the live stream, Jason Herbert Walker Ross, 1 week from today when the Lowdown Live debuts on KHTK.com. We'll be doing our own live stream every single Friday. It's going to be a little bit different. We're going to redo the show. We're going to revamp the show for Fridays. We're going to make it incredibly entertaining, both on KHTK.com and for those listening on the radio and on the KHTK app here on Sports 1140. Cody, it's Friday. We've got all these letters here that we've been pouring through all week, addressed to Jason Ross here at 280 Commerce Circle, Sacramento, California, 95814. Of course, you can send your letters to be a part of the mailbag as well. And Cody, you lead us off here.
Good morning.
Also, hi.
Hello. All right. So will Antonio Brown make the team he joins an instant contender?
I feel like the answer to that is no. I don't think so, because we did this exercise, Kyle, a couple of days ago where we were trying to figure out, like, what wide receiver has an impact, like what top 2 or 3 wide receiver in the league is playing in the Super Bowl. And the closest, Julio Jones is the closest name we came to. You know, Pittsburgh hasn't been to the Super Bowl for a few years. Otherwise, it'd be Antonio Brown. But instant contender, I don't think so.
Yeah. It's hard to say just one player to make a complete difference.
Especially a receiver.
Exactly. Yes. And the teams that he's going to, so the top teams are the Colts, Niners.
All mentioned, yeah.
Jets, Patriots are like the only one, but they all have awful records.
And remember, this is a trade,
besides
too.
The Colts.
Right.
Exactly.
This is a trade, too, so I don't think they're going to be big on trading them to a team like the Patriots.
Yeah, I don't think they want to keep him in the AFC.
What if Gronk retires?
Yeah, but what would you? I don't think
They have the
Pittsburgh
option
would do
to
that.
say no,
Yeah,
exactly.
I think Pittsburgh would be like, nah. San Francisco looks a lot better
Yeah.
than New England does right now.
And like I said, all the teams that kind of have interest in him don't have the best records besides the Colts.
But I would argue. Sorry, Kyle. Go ahead.
I just think when you look at receivers across the league, I think the most impactful receiver in terms of like game in, game out, helping his team win is probably DeAndre Hopkins. Like you take him off the Texans offense, and I wonder what happens to that offense. I don't really see that with many other receivers in the league. And I have a hard time anticipating Antonio Brown turning a team around.
Can I have a counter argument to that?
Please.
Because I think it's Antonio Brown is that same guy. I think Antonio Brown can affect whether the Pittsburgh Steelers win and lose.
I disagree.
Okay. Well, fine then. Can I take one of your teams?
Because they have Juju Smith-Schuster.
I understand. No, that's
very
fair. No, that's very fair. Juju Smith-Schuster is an A receiver.
Right.
He is a 1. That's fair. That's fine. I want to take one of your teams, Cody, that you mentioned, and I've been hung up on this team for a while. They were 4-12 because their quarterback was out, but I like Jimmy Garoppolo and Antonio Brown. I like that tandem, and I think that the San Francisco 49ers have the assets in terms of players and the assets in terms of draft picks to make a very compelling case to the Pittsburgh Steelers to acquire Antonio Brown. In that case, I think the 49ers would become – I feel like when you say contenders, you're talking about the Super Bowl, but they would immediately become a team that a lot of people will be talking about. And there's another Pittsburgh Steeler who will soon be a former Pittsburgh Steeler that I think would fit brilliantly on that roster as well. And they have the money to pay him.
The Packers, Stephen A. was talking about that. I think it was yesterday morning about how well Le'Veon Bell would do on the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Make an instant impact for sure.
Yeah, that would work. What's
Do they
next?
have the cap space though? The Niners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
The 49ers. They got loads of
It's
money.
like $12 million a year.
Here's the anti-Le'Veon Bell in San Francisco take. They just paid Jerick McKinnon a bunch of money. He tore his ACL and didn't play at all last year. Matt Breida looked outstanding a season ago, and what Bobby Turner and Kyle Shanahan do with running backs, they have never had a top-tier running back, and they consistently churn out production with late-round undrafted running backs. They have no need to shell out money for Le'Veon Bell.
Sorry, go on.
That just, I don't think is something they would do.
What about the culture for Antonio Brown? Do you think he would
Not
fit
worried
in with
about
the
it.
49? Like,
I'm not worried
should
about
he
it.
be put with a young quarterback,
Not
a
worried
veteran
about it.
quarterback? No.
Jimmy's kind of a young veteran, right? Like he's young, but he's been around the Patriots for, what was it, 4 years, three or 4 years, and then around last year.
Yeah.
The 49ers players have made it very clear on the internet that they want Antonio.
Yeah, I think this talk of Antonio Brown and the coach, it's overblown because he's a wide receiver and he's very flamboyant. Like Antonio
He's
Brown.
just vocal.
Yeah, like
But
The biggest,
guaranteed he
you're
works.
not allowed to be vocal in the NFL unless, of course, you're Ben Roethlisberger or Aaron Rodgers. Then you
Brady.
can say whatever the hell you want. Tom Brady can say what he wants, but again, he doesn't.
because he's a good leader.
He does not say anything. He doesn't trash his teammates. But if you're Ben Roethlisberger or Aaron Rodgers, I guess you can do that. But if you're a wide receiver like Antonio Brown, you're supposed to keep your mouth shut.
All right, next one. More interesting guests for LeBron James' HBO show: Antonio Brown or Anthony Davis?
Yeah, the shop next. Is it next Friday? To me, this is going to be a tremendous episode. But the answer is Anthony Davis.
They filmed it during All-Star Weekend, correct?
Correct. The answer to me is overwhelmingly Anthony Davis because all parties are there. Anthony, LeBron, and Rich. They're all sitting together in a room drinking wine. Antonio Brown will be fun. There'll be great dialogue there. I'm sure he'll have plenty to say. But the stories coming out of that episode are going to be about Anthony Davis.
No, I agree completely, especially with just all the drama that has been around those two. So it's just
Those three really, once you factor in Rich Paul as
I'm
well.
really excited to see what's to come out of this episode.
I think Antonio Brown's way more interesting because I think Antonio Brown is liable to say something that's going to create news or articles. I don't think there's anything new we're going to learn really from, like, LeBron wants to play with Anthony Davis and vice versa.
Right. But they
And
can't say that. They can't say that on the episode, so they've got to tiptoe around that.
Right, which eliminates even more of the intrigue for me. Like, they're not going to say anything super outrageous it's going to make anybody mad.
But
it's going to be more like
they have, like,
nudge,
trigger
nudge,
words.
wink, wink.
But I think you're wrong, because I think what's going to make people mad, and we talked to Sam Amick about this yesterday, is the fact that Rich Paul, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis are all very openly on a camera in a room, all with each other.
And just knowing
Booking
that
Anthony-
is the intrigue for it. I
Right,
don't need to
exactly.
watch
That's
it.
what I mean. Antonio Brown, like you said, you think Antonio Brown is more interesting or intriguing. I'm going to just change the word. Antonio Brown, and I'll even throw the word significantly in front of it, will be more entertaining.
Oh, for sure.
But the story to me is the fact that, because this is a middle finger to the entire National Basketball Association.
And it is
oh,
that
you
it
want to talk
happened.
about tampering? You want to talk about my agent? You want to talk about this and that? You know what?
Let's all sit down and talk
Right. Let's all sit down and do our
and
HBO.
film it and show the world.
They're flaunting it. Like, you can't do anything about it. We're here. We're together. Suck it.
I suppose that
Suck it.
I'm isolating that. I suppose the fact that it's happening is more significant for sure and more interesting. But I think as far as watching and getting dialed in to take in what is said, it's the Antonio Brown one for sure.
That show is so entertaining. If you've never watched it, it's a good watch. There are 2 LeBron shows that are worth watching. The Shop on HBO and More Than an Athlete on ESPN+. Cody, you're sticking around. We've got a lot more mailbag questions we got to go through as we wrap up this Friday edition of The Drive here on Sports 1140. Want to get in here the final 10 minutes or so here. You can, the Fire Wings hotline. Try one of their delicious 21 flavors of wings today. Fire Wings. Just wing it. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Kings lose last night to the Golden State Warriors, 125-123. They will take on the Oklahoma City, the third place Oklahoma City Thunder, tomorrow night. It'll be the second night of a back-to-back for OKC, by the way, as they take on the Utah Jazz. No Jay Ross with me today. He'll be back normal time on Monday. The whole crew will be back together Monday at noon, and we'll debut the Lowdown live on KHTK.com 1 week from today. We're together. Suck it. Thank you. Thank you, Kyle. I'm so glad you're so quick to isolate sound. Well done. Don't encourage him, Cody. What's next? In fact, nobody ever encouraged Kyle.
Do it.
Not Cody, not Jay, nobody. Nobody validate anything Kyle does. It's horrible. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next one. What playoff race will be more exciting? The top 5 in the East or the top 5 in the West?
Man, you look at Milwaukee right now and Toronto, and everybody is just waiting for Indiana to fall out of the conversation, and they're very much not. And you got Philadelphia and Boston, who you keep waiting for them to kind of put their foot on the gas and lap everybody, and that's not happening. And then you've got the West with Golden State, Denver, Oklahoma City, and what will Portland do? What will Houston do? What will Utah do? I would argue that there's going to be a lot of movement in both divisions, both conferences. I think the East is really exciting, though.
It's exciting, but I feel like the West is more impactful. Like, different teams could take place in the top 5, rather than the East is basically locked in.
Yeah, like the teams that we just named all the way down, because Boston is 5 right now at 37-22. And then you have Brooklyn, who's a really cool story, but they're 30-30, so they're not going to be contending for the top 5, Kyle.
The thing that interests me so much about the East is how much different these teams are from last year.
Right.
And how much the Raptors have had a major overhaul. The Bucks might be the best team in the league. Boston, I keep waiting for Boston to rip off like 15 in a row. The 76ers are figuring it out with their new starting 5, with inserting Tobias Harris in there. There is so much intrigue there, whereas I feel like the West, it's the same Warriors. Denver's a cool story, but it's still James Harden doing his thing with the Rockets. It's still Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum doing it with the Blazers. So it's a lot of the same guys, whereas the East, it's different from last season, to me anyway.
Well, in the way, even though the teams might be the same, they're not playing the same. Victor Oladipo getting hurt robbed us of
Yes.
what Nate McMillan has done is just so amazing for Indiana. And the fact that they haven't fallen out of the conversation with their all-star being out is pretty incredible. By the way, guys, this has not gotten enough love. The Spurs and the Raptors play tonight in Toronto. Anybody?
That's a huge game for the Kings.
Yeah, it is.
DeMar DeRozan goes back to Toronto.
I guess he hasn't, huh?
You guys suck, man. That's a great story.
Is it?
No,
Is
I was trying to make something.
With
out of that.
Oklahoma and Denver, they have the two hardest schedules remaining, and then Portland also has a tough 6-game road trip coming up, which includes Boston, the 76ers, and Toronto.
Oh, wow.
So top 5 could definitely change.
Ooh,
here.
that's a good note. That's a good note on Portland because Portland right now sits at 35-23, and they got to head out east. The Kings, I was just taking a quick look at the Kings schedule. Cody and I were during the commercial break, and the Kings still have an East Coast run ahead of them. Thankfully, that trip includes the New York Knicks, but they still have a run to the east. They got the Celtics coming to town here pretty soon, and obviously the big one when the Sacramento Kings return to the Golden One Center against the Eastern Conference leading Milwaukee Bucks. What's next, Cody?
Should Zion Williamson skip the remainder of the season and focus on the draft and the NBA?
Can I push? I'm fine if he does either. I can't tell a dude not to do it. Should he? No, I don't know. Push. Who wrote this question in? This is a terrible question. I don't think that he should, but I wouldn't be mad if he did. I wouldn't be mad either way. What do you think?
It's hard to he's gonna, if they're worried about injury, if they're worried about money, he has gotten so much publicity, just what happened the other night.
Yeah.
And I think it's just such a growth for him to have just as a person to kind of contend and be there with his team and see what they can do, get a national championship. I just think it would be great for him to not sit it out. There's going to be risk.
His value's not going down.
Yeah, there's going to be risk no matter what. If he sits out and goes straight to the NBA, he's not having time on the, he's obviously going to be training on the side, but.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I think this is important to note on his injury. It was a non-contact injury.
Yeah, it was a slow speed change, which he's going to be doing a million times in
right,
drills.
It's not like someone stepped on his foot.
Yeah.
It's not like he was going up for a rebound and landed poorly. It was a freak accident that could have happened in practice. It could have happened walking to his next class. It could have happened anywhere. It didn't have to be the basketball floor in front of President Obama against North Carolina where some person had paid $10,000 to see the game. That just manifested a little bit more. That just makes it a little bit more like, oh, we've got to do something about these non-contact injuries, man. You can't. It's not something you can do.
I wonder if the take would be the same. The Zion needs to never play another minute of college basketball. If they had done that on a random Tuesday night against, Creighton.
Right. The fact that it was against North Carolina, the fact that President Obama saw it, the fact that all of those people were there, there was wall-to-wall coverage of this game, there was talk about the tickets, that all factored into the way that we're reacting to Zion's injury.
Had that happened in another non kind of marquee, high-profile match, I think a lot of people are going, "Oh man, good thing it's not more serious."
Oh yeah, right, exactly.
And there's not when does he come back?
But I think there's also a belief in the NBA that Zion is a prized possession for them.
I agree.
And they were free. They'll never admit it. And I know that this 19 to 18 minimum age requirement thing has nothing to do with Zion Williamson because it's been in talks for a long time. But when they found out it was a day-to-day injury, they absolutely breathed a sigh of relief.
Charles Barkley on Zion Williamson, whether he should play or not, goes, I get so mad when people act like money is the only thing that matters in the world. What matters to him? Is it being there with his team, helping them win a championship?
It's always easy when you're a dude who's already super rich, telling someone who's not quite there yet.
But they all had a college experience. Just who was it? Was
DeMarcus.
It
was
DeMarcus.
DeMarcus, yeah.
He said that college is bullcrap, but then he goes on to say that those were the best experiences of his life. So it's up to him, obviously. We all can have our opinions on it, but
I love
initially
Chuck.
it's up to him.
it's not all about money. Yeah, maybe it's not. And we said this a minute ago, he could have ruptured his Achilles and been out all of next year. His dollar value, it doesn't change. He's likely still going number 1 overall, even if he doesn't play next year. And Nike's not looking at him going, you know what, we can't pay this kid anymore. He's still going to get a contract.
After that shoe rip, they're going to be paying him for a while.
Right. They've probably that shoe rip probably upped his deal just a smidge bit more. As we wrap up on Friday, Cody, what do we got next?
All right, last one. Hulk Hogan is getting a biopic. Is this a good idea?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
Hey, Chris Hemsworth is playing the Hulk. Not that it matters. I know your audience, Cody. Know your audience.
The one issue with all of this is the executive producer of Hulk Hogan's biopic is Hulk Hogan. That's the problem right there. Notorious.
Who's the director again?
The guy who's doing the Joker?
Yeah, Todd
right?
Phillips.
So, Notorious, the Biggie movie, was executive produced by Biggie's mom and Puff, or Diddy, or P. Diddy, or Sean Combs, or Sean John.
Diddy Dirty Money.
All of it. It was trash because of that.
Not good.
It was trash. The Tupac documentary was just trash for no damn reason.
The All Eyes on Me one?
Yes.
Yeah, that was really bad.
Chris, I think someone had described that movie to me as a Wikipedia page come to life.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's exactly what it is.
I didn't even see it.
There isn't a don't waste your time. There isn't a the guy looks like Tupac, which is what gets your attention. Then you sit down and watch the movie and you realize it sucks.
Who did NWA?
So Cube did, along with a variety of other people.
That was a good movie.
It was
Straight Outta Compton was really good.
It was a great movie, but when you know the story, it was a great movie with nothing added to it.
Uh-huh.
But when you know the story, you also know they left out a pretty significant characteristic to Dr. Dre's early life. The fact that he repeatedly beat the hell out of women he was associated with. They just completely left that part out. As if it wasn't a major news story that he went to jail for in the early 90s when he beat up Dee Barnes of MTV. Like, those types of things you can't. Hulk Hogan is the most known liar. Like, Hulk Hogan will tell you he was going to be in Metallica.
Yes.
Like, and James Ellsworth, like, no, he wasn't.
In character 100% of the time.
All of the time. And then they said they're going to leave the Gawker stuff out.
What?
Like, that made him like $100 million, and you're going to leave that part out?
That's ridiculous.
This is a bad idea, Cody. No,
I think it's a bad idea too.
Is that
it? Just what's the storyline going to be? I'm excited to see the.
Well, he was I think Lost in 2019. Hulk Hogan was a major 1980s celebrity.
He wasn't he was an actor, he was in a lot of movies.
Well, he was. Well, even as a wrestler, like the Hulk Hogan character, like he was a huge figure. He was at the award shows with Cyndi Lauper when Cyndi Lauper. He was a big deal. Just this ain't it.
They said, Hulk, we don't think this is a good idea to make the movie, and he said,
we're here, we're together.
Okay.
Suck it. All right. Jay Marshall, thank you for all of your work on the live stream. Kyle, whatever. Jason Ross will be back with us. Kyle, thanks for everything you did this week. Jason Ross will be back with Cody and myself when we go back to the normal time slot at noon. Carmichael Dave will be back on Monday. We thank you so much for being with us. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you Monday at noon.